Welcome to Dads and Dollars podcast with your host, Stanley Funches, certified financial planner, business owner, author, speaker, and father of three. Listen as Stanley shares his valuable insights around fatherhood and finances gained from over 20 plus years of experience. You'll hear stories, lessons learned, and the ups and downs he and his guests have encountered on their journeys as fathers, professionals, and business owners. These shared lessons will help provide you a path for financial independence while celebrating the challenges of being a dad. Thank you for joining the conversation. Here's your host, Stanley Funches.
Good day. Welcome to Dads and Dollars, the podcast where the perspective of fatherhood and finances are woven into many life topics. My name is Stanley Funches. I'm a certified financial planner by profession and a father of three in this thing called life. We're so glad you could join us for season 1, episode 1. On this episode of Dads and Dollars, we will share with you the motivations for this podcast and why you should hit the play button each time an episode drops. So why? Why do a podcast called Dads and Dollars? Well, the first part of it is to honor my dad and mom. My dad was an inspiration to me throughout the years as he went through the journey trying to be an entrepreneur and be independent. I felt like that always he just needed someone to help guide him. And I'm hoping that podcasts like this could provide inspiration and guidance for many dads out there who go through the ups and downs that I have went through and that my dad has gone through as well. He's also a great guide for me with his lectures and his sayings and his teachings throughout the course of my life. So definitely want to hopefully encapsulate some of that and put that information in here as well. Probably the single most important person to help me on this journey has been my father. Now, my mom, she's a great example of giving and loving, and I am so lucky to have her and the sacrifices that she made for us as children when she was raising us is a great example, and we hope to just be able to provide a little bit of that giving, loving, sacrifice knowledge throughout the podcast as well. So that's one of the first reasons. The next reason is I want to combine two areas that I love and I have the most experience in. One, I've been a financial planner for 24 years, helped countless clients save and get to retirement and educate their children. Also, I've been a dad for 22 years. I have 3 children. Ashley, she's 22. I have TJ, he's 19. And I have Christopher, who's 17. And they are my everything. So, and another reason for this podcast is, we met so many strong fathers and parents as they raised their kids throughout the course of the time I've been in financial planning. I want to show them some love, those parents, those dads, some love. And maybe some of the things I've learned through the course of time of being with them as they raise their children, because I was with them when their kids are young and now they have adult kids. I want to be able to share those things and again, give them their flowers on the information they share with me. Also help younger dads provide some level of inspiration for them to let them know that, hey, what you're going through, somebody else has gone through it. And here are some of the thoughts and things that have got them through it. And so these might be inspiration and lessons for them. We're going to come at a perspective from a dad, but a lot of the lessons we learn too comes from the moms that we've seen throughout the time and that we've experienced through the years. So one of the best lessons came from one of my older clients. I was meeting with her several years ago in Montgomery. We're having a meeting and she asked me, how's the family? And I said, the family's great, doing well. My daughter's about to turn a teenager. She's about to turn 13. So my client looked at me with this loving face and she says, about to be 13. She said, well, let me tell you. She said, when your daughter turns 13, this alien ship comes down and these aliens take your daughter. Now, they leave one that looks just like her. just talks just like her. And it will be hard for you from a physical point to not recognize it. But they're going to take your daughter, and they're going to take your daughter away, and they're going to leave their representative of your daughter. But you're going to start to not recognize the behaviors and the way this new daughter talks. She said, but don't worry. Around 1920, the aliens return. They drop your daughter back off, and they take their version back with them. So you get your daughter back. You just got to be patient. So now that made me laugh. But I thought as I went through the years, it stayed in my mind. That conversation that she had with me stayed in my mind. And here's how it helped me. Because every time, when it seemed as if my daughter was maybe behaving a little differently, I thought about it. I said, you know what? Basically, what she was telling me was that my daughter is changing into young ladyhood, young womanhood, and that I can no longer think of her as my little cuddly kid, little baby girl, because she's going to try to develop and grow and have her own independence and her own way of thinking. And so when my daughter became 15, 16, I didn't no longer think of her as the little girl, the little baby girl. I was thinking of her as a growing young lady. And it gave me the perspective to see things a little differently as she was growing up. And so I was able to handle the situation because I didn't notice a big amount of change in my daughter. But I would think that I probably didn't notice because I kept thinking of what my client told me. Now, for sure, 19, 20 years old, my daughter is maturing. She's come back. The aliens brought my daughter back, and I've loved every version of my daughter, but that's great. So I hope to help you with, as we go through, that we'll have dads on the phone and on the calls and joining the podcast. And then we'll be able to share stories with you that help give you perspective that you can deal with the challenges that may come. So we're going to deal with a lot of topics around finance and fatherhood. And so, yes, it will come from my perspective. As a Black male, a lot of the show will be from my perspective. But again, this is a show for everyone. We're hoping to build out a show for everyone. And one of the things that I like to always say that podcasts, I listen to a number of podcasts, but they have their influencers, they have the creators, they have the educators, they have the inspirers. And while we hope to do all of those things, we help to influence, we help to, show people how to create certain things, especially when it comes to wealth, educate. We want to educate you and we want to inspire people. But the main thought of this podcast, what we hope to bring to the table is because we have the experience and we're going to talk to people who have the experience. We're going to share stories with people who share things from their experience, that this will be an experiencer type podcast. Again, I've been a financial planner for over 24 years and a dad for 22. And, I hope to talk about my journey along the way and the little nuggets that happened to share with you. How to retire, how to get out of debt, how to educate your kids, how to deal with these different life situations that may happen within, even your relationship with your partner or, your relationship with your children, how to deal with and balance all these things, how to, save in your career when you're also trying to do things personally, and hope to bring all that to the table to you from an experience standpoint. Again, not to be a preacher or preaching to someone, but to give you that experience through what we're talking about, where it's just not from a book or just not from a magazine. This is you getting it in real life. We live this. Clients live this. So originally, I wanted to make this podcast the 4 Ds: dads, dollars, divorce, and dating. I'm just going to kind of try to make it kind of fun. But I decided to drop the divorce and dating. I thought divorce might be a little too negative in dating. Who knows where that would have taken these topics. So we're going to focus on dads and dollars. But again, some of the things I've experienced is, someone who's been divorced now for a few years and dating, just that there are challenges because there are many fathers and mothers and parents out there who are divorced or who are dating. They have challenges, not only in those relationships, but also how that deals with financial planning and raising your kids. And so we hope to weave some of those things in here. We didn't title it Dad's Dollars, Divorce and Dating, but we hope to weave all of those life topics within the course of this podcast. And, obviously we're going to talk about finance. And as a financial planner, there's just some basic things that we just need to make sure we talk about. And those things are agnostic to gender. So we hope that you guys, will, and ladies will always come back to the podcast to get these finance topics as well. We'll talk everything from current events to, got Ukraine, pandemic, inflation, interest rate, market volatility, housing prices. We got all those things that we can talk about from a current events perspective, as well as how to get retirement, how to use investments, taxation. And we're going to have guests come in too that will assist us in building this type of wealth as well. The specific fatherhood challenges that we'll talk about in this episode. I mean, I believe in my thought that being a dad today is very different, just like being a mom and being even a child today, but very different than 20, 40, 60 years ago. Some of the stereotype things for fatherhood, I just don't think apply anymore. Obviously, there are some things there. We're going to explore that. And I think the evolution of fatherhood has been rewarding and both challenging. And again, we're going to dive into all of that. I would like to coin the term 21st century dad. So we're going to talk about 21st century fatherhood. We might refer back to the 20th and 19th century dad, but this is going to be a 21st century dad type of exploration. And so how are we navigating this? What's our challenges? What's the rewards? How do we balance fatherhood with marriage, relationships, career and business, finances, and our own personal needs? So Confucius says that wisdom is gained in three ways. One is by reflection, and that's the noblest. Two is by imitation, and that's the easiest. The third is by experience, and that's the bitterest. So we hope that we're able to provide you some of our experiences, our guest experiences, even the people I've met along the way experiences. So maybe if you imitate, which will be easier, and you reflect back on some of the ways that you're trying to handle situations, maybe that will help your experience be a little less bitter. So that's the main hope and why you should come to this podcast and why you should listen. And my hope is that you'll sit back and you'll enjoy the improvement and the ride with me. And we look forward to you joining and listening to our next episode.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Dads and Dollars. If you found the information shared today valuable, please share with your friends and family via your social media. If you have a request for a future financial topic for Dads and Dollars, please email us at ask@dadsanddollars.com. For further information on your financial journey, you may purchase The Quest for Financial Independence, 10 areas of your financial planning you should not ignore by visiting our website, dadsanddollars.com. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Individual tax and legal matters should be discussed with your tax or legal professional. Economic forecasts set forth may not develop as predicted, and there can be no guarantee that strategies promoted will be successful. All performance reference is historical and is no guarantee of future results. All indices are unmanaged and may not be invested into directly. There is no assurance that the techniques and strategies discussed are suitable for all investors or will yield positive outcomes. The purchase of certain securities may be required to affect some of these strategies. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Guests and their companies are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial or Intellis Advisory Group. Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Advisory services offered through Intellis Advisory Group, a registered investment advisor. Intellis Advisory Group and Intellis Wealth Management are separate entities from LPL Financial.